Hello folks, welcome to JetSetJimbo. In this one we're going to be looking at car hire. It may seem like the most simple thing in the world, but actually it can be a little bit of a minefield and you can easily find yourself getting ripped off or paying over the odds, or maybe getting things that you don't actually need. Let's have a look at the ins and outs of car hire. This is a nice relaxed one, so stay right through to the end. I'm going to give you a nice checklist of things to make sure you do at the end of the video, and hopefully everyone watching this will pick up a thing or two along the way. Now folks, I'm in the UK, so the sites I'm looking at are UK versions of sites. Some of them have US, worldwide equivalents, European equivalents, so don't worry if you're not in the UK. Hopefully a lot of this video still applies to you. Okay, so I'm in England. I'm looking at a week's car hire in Orlando in the US. I think one of the most popular destinations for Brits travelling abroad. And typically when I'm looking for American car hire, I go to Auto Europe because time after time they've delivered me the best price and the easiest service. Which company you end up going with can vary massively from state to state in the US. For example, Alamo I always use in LA. I've been to LA about 4 times and I've always used Alamo because they're always the cheapest, and you get to pick your car with Alamo, and it's a really straightforward check-in process if you use this site and get your voucher in advance. That's not the case in other states. So in Florida, 9 times out of 10 I've used Dollar, and Dollar have usually been the cheapest, but as you can see here, Budget seems to be the one. So if you wanted, say, a mid-sized car, £308 for a week. Now let's see what that covers you for. So you've got a zero excess package at £308, or full protection with premium coverage at £348. And if at all possible, I think it's always a great idea to go for something with the best cover you could possibly get and with no excess. Now, a lot of these covers don't cover you for the glass or the tyres on the vehicle, so that's something to look at. If you damage a tyre, take a chunk out of a tyre, get a nail in it, whatever it may be, or the windscreen gets cracked, it's quite often not covered under these things. Let's have a look at this one. This one does include wheels, glass and underside and roof of vehicle with zero excess. But it's important to find out if you are covered for that or not. If you're not, you need to get cover for it, because they will take the absolute michael out of you if there is any kind of damage to a tyre or a chip on the windscreen or anything. About 10 years ago, Hertz in Belfast tried to charge me 360 quid for a 15-inch basic tyre on a Ford Focus that hadn't damaged. Now, after lots of to-ing and fro-ing, I got the charge reversed because they were essentially making it up. But if I had a policy like this in place, I wouldn't have to worry about it, okay? And the great thing about Auto Europe is sometimes you might find that, look, an estate or SUV is actually the same price as a mid-size. And it's really easy to just quickly compare all the different prices from all the different companies. So if you wanted a large car, for example, it's a better price to go with Sixt on this one. I just really love the way they lay out all the pricing. And when you do go through and book, they send you a voucher. And I was at the rental desk last year in LA for maybe 30 seconds before I went out and picked up the car. And once again, I'm going to LA in November again. I've booked with Alamo through Auto Europe because the best price I found, and I thought the service was fantastic. So I'll put a link to Auto Europe in the video description for you. You can use them elsewhere in the world as well, by the way. It's not just America. You can hire a car just about anywhere in the world with Auto Europe. The other one I'll sometimes look at is carrentals.co.uk. Again, I'll put a link in the video description for you. This one I'm just looking at a week in Mallorca, which is a fairly typical thing for us Brits. And the reason I've chosen Mallorca to look at this is because it really is shark infested waters on the car hire scene over there. In fact, Spain in general can be a little bit iffy. There are some very unscrupulous car hire companies around. So let's have a look at this one. A week in a Fiat 500 is 62 quid. That seems very cheap, doesn't it? Like really very cheap. You'll notice here it's got caution, high deposit. So the deposit on that, so when you turn up, the amount they want to charge on your card is £1,000 in case you cause any damage to it or you forget to fuel it up or anything like that. And then if we have a look at Trustpilot on an EE car rental, you'll see it's got 2 stars. poor customer care. And there are a few other tales of woe like that on that particular review site. And also some fairly bad ones on Google reviews. I'm not picking on them particularly though. Now this is one that I've read loads of bad reviews for, Gold Car. Whenever I've been over to Mercia, lots of people are in the queue for Gold Car because they're always the cheapest. But when you start reading the reviews of Gold Car, they're pretty nasty quite often, and they're doing some hideous things. I read one where a guy took his car back, everything appeared to be fine. While he was on the flight home, they charged his card £3,000. But there are a couple of things you can do to set your mind at ease. One is on this site, and it's to click this worry-free box. And if you click on the information, worry-free gives you a covered deductible. So that's either zero excess or excess cover, okay? You've then got unlimited mileage, a cost-effective fuel policy, and that means that you have to return the rental car with the same amount of fuel that was in it. A lot of people call it full to full, and it's by far the best way of doing it. But what you should always do when you return a hire car is fill it up at the closest possible petrol station to the actual car hire return place, usually the airport. Keep your receipt and hold your receipt next to the fuel gauge in the car and take a picture of it on your phone. Now on your phone, that's going to have a date stamp, it's going to have GPS location on it. You've got the date and time on the receipt, everything's there. And if after the event they come back and say, actually, the car wasn't full up when you bought it back, and we're going to charge you 60 quid for 2 gallons of petrol, which is the kind of thing they'll do, you've got evidence. And that evidence will prove to be invaluable for you. Probably at the first sight of it, they'll drop the charges. I've done that twice, and twice they've immediately dropped the charges. If I hadn't have had that piece of evidence, I would have had to pay. And it's a con. Like, it is a con. Nothing more, nothing less. High customer satisfaction rental company. Well, all right. That's the other thing they're saying, is that these people have all got, I guess, at least 7 out of 10. But 7 out of 10 is not amazing, is it? If we're being honest. As you can see, no longer is the cheapest one 75 quid. We're now looking at 126 quid. Now, the other thing you can do is this. If you want to take advantage of cheaper car hire pricing, you can get car hire excess insurance. Now, I used to hire a car probably 10, 12 times a year in my old job. And I would always take out this policy and my employer would pay for it because it saved them loads of money in the long run. And I was generally hiring cars from like Hertz or Avis or Enterprise, one of those. But I wouldn't take their excess protection because to get zero excess on a number of those is like 20 quid a day or £25 a day. And otherwise you've got like £1,000 excess or £1,500 excess sometimes. It can be absolutely daft. This car hire excess insurance, probably for the cost of like 2 or 3 days of that zero excess, you could probably get worldwide cover for a year. And this is the kind of thing that you get. So excess reimbursement, 10,000 quid. So that means you have to pay the excess, but you then claim back from the insurance company. Tyre, windscreen, roof and underbody, 10,000 quid. That's not included on so many insurances. Sometimes even if you hire a car with zero excess, you're still not covered for tyre, windscreen, roof and underbody. So be aware of that. Admin charges, misfueling, towing, all those kind of things. Once again, you're often not covered for breakdown, towing you off the road in a hire car. So you've got 750 quid's worth of cover for that. So let's get a quote. And we're going to say it's for a car. I'm resident in the UK and I want annual cover. And from today for a year, and we'll say worldwide cover. Get a quote. £54.98 is what it would cost you for a year's cover. You've then got a few optional extras you can add on if you choose to. Now, of course, you can also find car rental rates on sites like Expedia, and when you book your Ryanair flight, they might offer you a car. Quite often, they're with quite a low level of insurance. So particularly if you're looking at those kind of deals, it's worth doing it here. Otherwise, they're going to try and upsell you at the desk. And if you don't take their insurances at the desk, they might ask you for an even bigger deposit. And perhaps you've got an even bigger excess. So well worth considering these kind of things. I'll put links to all this in the video description. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a link to my link tree in the video description. It's this. And you'll see down here, we've got car hire options. So we've got Auto Europe, Car Rentals and Expedia. Some of these are affiliate links, all right? So if you use some of these, it helps support me doing this basically. But they're not all affiliate links. I'm not showing you these because I'm going to make money from them. I'm showing you these because they're the ones I use. I may make money from some of them though, so cards on the table, folks. And then I've got one really important piece of advice for you that very few of you will remember to do. But again, it's just a common sense thing that could end up saving you some money, is when you collect your hire car, walk around it and video it. So just walk around the outside with a video camera and go around the inside with the video camera. 20-30 seconds is all you need. Make sure that any damage to the car is recorded, and if they say to you, as they often do, don't worry, it's already all on the system, we know about all of it, just drive away, you've at least got evidence that you videoed that and when it spoke to someone before you drove away. And then video it again when you drop it off, just in case after the event they send you something through saying it's been damaged, and the damage was caused after you dropped the car off. That whole thing should take up a good minute and a half of your holiday, so it's not going to be a massive inconvenience, but once again, a little bit of investment in time could protect you from a nasty surprise. Now, the other thing to avoid at the car hire desk are upgrades. You'll often be offered upgrades at the desk. They'll ask where you're going, what you're going to do, and then suggest your car's too small for that and you'd really be a lot more comfortable in something else. You'll pay through the nose for it generally at the desk, whereas if you booked it in advance, when you just booked it in the first place, it's usually at least half the price of the upgrade, sometimes even more so. I've seen people in Orlando at the airport before paid $20 a day for an upgrade that I know for a fact was the same price if you booked that one online at the time using Auto Europe, for example. And then I would definitely avoid hiring things like car seats for your child, because again, they charge through the nose for it. Sat nav, I mean, everyone's got a phone nowadays. Have a look and see what your roaming charges are going to be. Maybe get yourself a little phone cradle, take a USB-A lead for your phone, take a USB-C lead for your phone, because chances are the car you're hiring is going to have something like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or it might even have sat nav in it anyway. You don't need to rent a TomTom for £8 a day in 2024, folks. So let's have a look at this quick checklist just to summarise everything in this video. Number one is shop around, and not just for price, but also look for reviews. Look at the quality. You'll read sometimes a car that costs you next to nothing to hire, you read the reviews and you see that they're using 15-year-old cars that are unsafe, or that they're screwing people after the event. So shop around and don't only look at the price. Look for zero excess options, or consider buying a separate excess insurance policy. I've shown you in this video how cheap that can be, and that's for a year's cover. So consider those two options. Either get the best kind of cover with the car you can, or get that cover separately. But going without could be a little bit risky and leave you exposed. Look for full to full fuel policies, sometimes shown as a fair fuel policy. That means if the car's given to you full, you return it full. And make sure if you've got a full to full policy on your car, when you refill it, before it goes back, make sure you do that at the closest possible petrol station and take a picture of your receipt next to the car's fuel gauge and keep that on your phone, just in case. Take phone cables, and take different kinds of phone cables. So if you've got a modern phone, probably it's got a USB-C connection or a lightning connection, but the other end of it could be a USB-C or could be a USB-A. You don't know what's going to be in the car when you collect it, so make sure you've got both kinds of connection so that you can connect to the car regardless of what kind of connection it has. Get a DVLA check code, that's very easy to do online, link in the video description for that. And film the car at both handovers, just to walk around outside, particularly highlighting any damage. Do that when you pick the car up and again when you return it. And finally, one I haven't mentioned in the video is just familiarise yourself with the rules of the road wherever you're traveling. Things do differ from country to country, not massively usually, but there are often some key things like turning right on a red light in the US, where if you know them in advance, life's much easier for you once you get there. So it is worth just familiarising yourself with the rules of the road for wherever it is you're travelling. And finally, have a great time. I hope you've enjoyed this one, folks. There's going to be lots more coming on this channel. Lots of helpful stuff, a lot of stuff that's going to save you quite a lot of money, and a lot of stuff that will stop you being scammed. And also some of my own sort of travel vlogs when I'm out and about on my adventures. I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks actually, so keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, please give the video a thumbs up, please leave me a comment, and please subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new channel for me. Many of you watching this may have come over from my car channel, which I've been doing for a few years. This is a new channel for me because I just need to see views and subscribers to make this a worthwhile thing for me to be doing. Massive thanks to the 600 odd people that have subscribed before I've even released a video. That blows my mind if I'm being completely honest. So huge thanks to each and every one of you. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next one.